Chair, the United States proposes 8 separate, and I stress separate, amendments to the draft presented for adoption. These amendments were circulated by the Secretariat previously. Number 1, define gender in paragraph 1. The first amendment we wish to make is to provide some clarity as to the meaning of gender by referring to the definition of gender from the 4th World Conference on Women and included in Annex 4 of the reports of the conference. In addition, several provisions of binding international human rights instruments prohibit discrimination and require equal protection under the law on the basis of sex. Together, these provide a framework to understand the term gender as only referring to men and women, according to biological sex, and not according to subjective notions of gender identity that are not internationally agreed. The amendment would read as follows. In paragraph 1, add footnote after Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. The footnote would read as follows. Report of the 4th World Conference on Women, Beijing, 4-5 September 1995, United Nations publication, sales number E96413, Chapter 1, Resolution 1, Annex 1 to 4. Number 2, qualify review conferences in paragraph R. As we already stated, the US government is concerned with various controversial meanings that sexual and reproductive health terminology has acquired in some UN policies and programs, including abortion rights, radical gender ideology, and sexual autonomy for children. This must stop. We would have preferred to delete this paragraph altogether. However, in a spirit of compromise and our sincere desire to achieve consensus, we propose the following tweak to make the paragraph acceptable. The amendment would read as follows. In paragraph R, add, quote, adopted by the General Assembly, end quote, after review conferences. Number 3, qualify SRH language in paragraph Z. The US government is concerned with various controversial meanings that sexual and reproductive health terminology has acquired in some UN policies and programs, including abortion rights, radical gender ideology, and sexual autonomy for children. We want to ensure that this document is not a blanket endorsement of those meanings. Our amendment simply repeats the basic principle in paragraph 8.25 of the International Conference on Population and Development, namely, that in no case should abortion be promoted as a method of family planning. The amendment will ensure that any efforts to implement sexual and reproductive health programming must conform to national laws and policies, and that there are no controversial interpretations that can be imposed under the pretext of promoting sexual and reproductive health. The amendment would read as follows. In paragraph Z, after sexual and reproductive health, add in accordance with national laws and policies. Number 4, delete multiple and intersecting forms of discrimination in paragraph 6. Multiple and intersecting forms of discrimination is a term routinely used to promote policies that are a form of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the UN system. Such policies immorally give preference to certain population based on factors like race, gender, and sexual preference, and overlook evidence, actual need, and merit. It has been a priority of the Trump administration to root out these immoral policies from our own government, and we are not prepared to endorse them in international negotiated documents. The amendment would read as follows. Delete multiple and intersecting form of discrimination in paragraph 6. Number 5, delete to address disinformation, misinformation, and hate speech in paragraph WW. The US government does not support any forms of censorship, including under the Orwellian labels disinformation, misinformation, and hate speech. Nor does the US support global standards for misinformation or hate speech in any area of policy. The definition of these terms are vague and nebulous at best, and in practice are merely defined as speech that the authority with the ability to censor dislikes. We have seen this tactic used to attempt to influence the outcomes of US elections. President Trump issued Executive Order 14449 on January 2025 on restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship, requiring all federal agencies to dismantle and define censorship program. Freedom of speech is a foundational principle in the United States dating back to the 18th century. We're not in a position today or ever to undermine the exercise of this unalienable right that generations of Americans have fought to secure, preserve, and hand down to their progeny. The amendment would read as follows. In paragraph WW, delete to address disinformation, misinformation, and hate speech. Number 6, delete the reparations in paragraphs O, AA, and F. Even though the US government has enacted many laws to effectively protect women and girls from violence, it is confusing to us this term here in the context of domestic policy. We're especially concerned that some US entities have proposed that the concept of reparations require changes to abortion laws in delicate post-conflict situations. This claim is a gross abuse of UN mandates and has no basis in international law. The amendment would read as follows. In paragraphs O, A, F, delete any reference to reparations. Number 7, delete entire paragraph CC on unilateral coercive measures. The United States reiterates that its autonomous sanctions are consistent with international law. In addition to observing and respecting UN sanctions, the United States and many others legitimately leverage domestic authorities, carefully regulating our domestic financial systems in a thoughtful, tailored way to address foreign policy and national security threats. We reaffirm our view that such sanctions can be legal and legitimate means to achieve important objectives related to foreign policy and national security. For this reason, we request the deletion of this paragraph in CC. Number 8, replace balance with equality and the empowerment of all women and girls in paragraph H. The US government does not support discriminatory special measures and quotas, nor the notion of structural barriers and unreasonable historical inequalities. These are a form of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Including this kind of programming in the work of UN Women is what has led the United States to withdraw from the agency. We urge that the United Nations agencies and partners to refrain from promoting this discriminatory program. The amendment would read as follows. Paragraph H, replace balance with equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. Thank you.